Well, welcome to another edition of Ask a Responsive Fundraiser, where we take your questions to a fundraising expert so that ultimately you can grow generosity. Today, we're taking your questions to Nick Kristock. Nick, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, pumped to be here. I hope I can live up to the title of expert. I'm just a guy doing the fundraising thing. I'm going to give you my best shot at these.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be great. We're going to jump right into the first question. We're struggling to reach our donors in the current digital landscape. Admittedly, we've relied on traditional communication methods, direct mail, written communication, a little bit of email. So how can we better connect with our donors and communicate in a method that actually reaches them?
This question is about the attention game, right? And we're in such a battle for attention, and it's so real. And so I hear this question loud and clear that to get our donors' attention has never been harder. And one of the first questions we go to is like, okay, am I using the wrong channels? But I believe that even before you look at your channels, looking at how intentional and proactive you are in your outreach can actually make a tremendous difference to how the channels you're already using get received. And so, from my side of things, at the nonprofit that I'm running, we have some donor journeys mapped out. And we kind of know when Scott comes to us, regardless of how he comes to us, what type of communication, when, and how we're going to cultivate Scott along the way. And because we're intentional and proactive, we like to say like our fundraising doesn't happen on accident. It happens because we're very strategic, intentional with how we're talking and when. And that to us then translates to, okay, now we can start to actually look at our channels because we know we've got Scott's attention and we've earned the right to communicate with him.
Mm,
And now maybe we're saying, okay, he's opted out of text, so we're going email. Or he never answers or opens an email, but every time we call, he seems to answer the phone call. And we're like evaluating the channels at that point. But if we're not intentional, proactive, we're probably just missing that first checkpoint to really understand how we win attention. Because I do think channels are secondary to the intentionality and proactive nature of our whole communication journey with the donor.
yeah, that's really good. All right, the second question is this. We want to start using video messaging to connect with donors, but we're not sure how to do it in a way that feels authentic and less transactional. So how can we best accomplish this?
Two things stick out to me to best accomplish more authenticity in video messaging. The first is going to tie it in a little bit with that first response of like the proactive and intentional nature of how we use video can mean everything. And that's paired with this concept of we should give value at least 3 times before we ask when it
Mm,
comes to video. And that value has to be engaging, value add. And so if you look at the journey of somebody supporting us, maybe a supporter's attended a recent event, they've never given us a gift. Well, let's use video to educate them a little bit more on the mission before they even come to that event. Let's use video to thank them for coming to that event. Maybe a couple weeks after, let's use video to show them what the proceeds from that event helped make possible.
mm.
And then maybe we can use video to do an ask. Because obviously if you flip that around and it's I attended an event, maybe I didn't give, and a couple weeks later I get a video asking me for a donation. I don't know you, there's no relationship yet, and it's very transactional. And so I think the proactive, intentional nature of the journey and that give before you ask can make all the difference.
Yeah, love that. All right, number three. With year end approaching, our board is encouraging us to rethink our current donor follow up. What are some practical ways with limited resources that we can incorporate video content into this plan?
One of my best kept secrets, and I'm happy for anyone to use it. I don't have this trademarked, it's yours to take, and I'm happy to share more if you need it. But I have something called the Donor SWAT Outreach Team. And if your board is asking this, I think that's great because we want our board to be more engaged all the time. And this Donor SWAT Outreach Team for me is a group of 10 to 12 people within the organization. Most are board members. There's one or two key volunteers and then some staff, but most are board members. And every Friday, I just pull a report of anyone who's given a donation this week. I know from each of my Donor SWAT outreach members how many calls they'd like to make on a weekly basis. For some, it's one. For others, it's give me as many as you need. And
Yeah.
then I produce that report and share it with that Donor SWAT outreach team. It has life to date giving, the most recent gift amount, if they included any notes or any donor notes that I have about the history of that donor. And then all of that team goes out and makes those thank you phone calls. They
Mm,
compile their follow up notes. And then from there, I use the follow up notes from the call to actually use video as then another follow up from there. So if you think about the first time donor journey or a second repeat donor journey there, it's they've made that donation, they're getting a phone call sometime within 7 days. And then from there, 7 to 14 days after that, video is being sent and it's got contextual relevance to maybe what they mentioned on the phone call. So we
Yeah.
use video as an extra layer to show we hear you, we're listening, and this is us. We're real people doing real fundraising and trying to establish a relationship, but looking at it from that relational viewpoint and then pairing it with the donor SWAT outreach, which is obviously free to do and will make a world of difference for how your donors feel cultivated. And extra points, your board is going to be super highly engaged to be a part of that. I've got board members who call me weekly and thank me for them getting able to be a part of the donor SWAT outreach team. And I'm like, you're thanking me, I should be thanking you. And that's a great situation.
Yeah. Man, that's super helpful and I think really practical for people to take away and start implementing. Nick, thanks so much for taking the time to share your expertise with us today. We're really grateful for it.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Good luck, everybody.